Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the TV revival, continuation, reboot series, Scrubs. I will first give off my spoiler-free review of it all, essentially. I think overall, I actually genuinely have really enjoyed watching this reboot, and it's kind of made me want to watch the original show fully. For full disclosure, I have watched a handful of episodes from the original show, but I used to kind of catch it in passing in between watching One Tree Hill or like Gilmore Girls on E4. So have I watched every episode? No. Have I watched a good handful? Yes. Do I want to go back and rewatch them all? Yes. But yeah, overall the vibe and the aesthetic, the reboot makes me nostalgic without being a carbon copy. It's I gotta admit, it is very well done, essentially. It has a lot of the nostalgia kind of factor you'd want from a reboot without, in my personal opinion, going too hard on that. It does kind of set it up to be have new stories, but it does play on the nostalgia of the old series, which I really enjoy. Feel like in the first 8 episodes as well, you get a bit of a callback, and they do little flashes to snippets of the original show. There's a nice bit with JD and Carla. There's also obviously nice bits between Dr. Cox and JD when he's in it. And it's really fun seeing these characters again, essentially. I have also really enjoyed the fact that it is kind of what I said that Malcolm should have done. It is 9 episodes, so it does feel a little bit more like there's more time to revisit and see these characters. So it feels a little less rush in pace. And obviously you get to see Carla, Turk, Elliot, the Todd, which was quite a fun little, him coming back. Like, in my own personal opinion, like I said, I'm not like a hardcore fan. I haven't watched every single episode, but it makes me want to watch the old show again and then follow it all the way to the revival. So I would definitely recommend it being a watch if you were a casual fan, and if you're a hardcore fan, I would be intrigued at what you guys think on it. Does it do it justice to the original show? Because from a casual fan, I do think it seems to do the show justice. And now for the more spoiler storyline-esque review part of it. So in this revival series, they basically have it set up that JD becomes the chief of medicine and takes over from Dr. Cox, which I think is just a very good way of kind of setting up this new storyline, because obviously Dr. Cox wouldn't be deemed very good, a good teacher these days. I love that character and I love every scene he's in, but I do admit he would be quite a challenge these days to be in medicine. So I appreciate they called that out. Like, the times are changing. The new interns, do you know what? I don't hate them. They're all right. And I think what the show's doing well is it's kind of sprinkling them in without forcing them down your face, essentially. They get airtime. They are an intricate part of it, because it was the original show. JD was an intern. It was about his journey. So I do think it's important to have them in, and I don't mind them. But it's about, I do appreciate seeing JD as a teacher and how he would go about being Dr. Cox, Dr. Kelso. Like, he's them characters, essentially. They're all looking to him, and he's kind of finding his way in a very JD way, which I do appreciate. JD and Turk, brilliant as ever. Obviously, their relationship, absolute friend goals, and nothing I think will ever really change there. I really like where Carla and Turk end up, where they've got, I think, 4 daughters, which I think just fits really well. And then of course we'll go into it, Elliot and JD. They're no longer together. I actually quite appreciate this choice. Again, I am a casual fan. I didn't watch the Will They Won't They relationship over 8 seasons, but I'm not gonna lie, when I look back at early 2000s will they, won't they relationships, now they just don't seem the healthiest. I don't know if it's a good place to idolize these relationships the way culture did back then in the early 2000s TV, just because I don't think a lot of them would have survived. So I actually appreciate that it's gone into that a little bit. They've not survived. It's about the divorce side of it. And I actually appreciate watching that. It is fun. It is it adds a bit more dynamic to them. Like, you care about the characters, you want them both to be happy, but you understand that they clearly weren't happy together. And it also, from what I can tell, kind of fits in Elliot's character. She was always quite high-strung in the original show, and she seems just as high-strung right now. So it is, I think, a fun little conflict to add into the show. Another new thing that I actually quite really appreciate in this reboot series revival, I never know what the term is the HR/wellbeings manager. She kind of reminds me of the way Ted used to just kind of like come into it now and then, like his character obviously as well. Like, apparently there's been a bit of a nod to him, as in the bar they go to is called Lloyd's Tavern, I think, something like that. Because the actor did sadly pass away, which is such a shame. I feel like we need Ted to be singing his way through it, bless him, with his little I can't remember his band. I'm a terrible fan. Casual fan. Probably going to go back through and watch all 8 seasons and hopefully be a hardcore fan by the end. But yeah, I really liked her introduction. It's quite a whimsical way to highlight some new issues in the medical world, probably. Like, I know the Pit has also apparently touched on like burnout and the well-being of like the staff, essentially. So it is good to see in its own Scrubs way, I believe. The thing that was quite jarring through the season, but I think it's always going to be, and it's a criticism and not at the same time, because I don't think there's any way they'd be able to get around it. The use of social media and phones, it is referenced to an extent, not loads. It is there. There is one of the interns does post online, which is referenced quite a bit, but they do kind of delve into her viability as a doctor. If she's posting online, does it give her real much credibility? Which I appreciate them like delving into that kind of thing to an extent. Again, it's not all the time, because obviously woke culture and all these things, there's like a fine line, because obviously media these days, media has always been can be a representation of what is concerns, and it is always like a representation of like society these days. So it can be a reflection of that. Obviously, the more realistic a world is going to be, and this isn't super realistic, but it is set in reality. But obviously, there's JD having his little cutaways and stuff like that, so it's not like super in that, but it is trying to sit in that world. It's going to have aspects of that life in it. We are in a world of social media. Do I agree with it? Well, I'm posting on it, so but I don't necessarily agree. Like, I remember the world before it and social media now, so it's one of those. I think if you're really dead set against TV showing any sort of social media and phones, maybe this isn't the show for you. But again, it's not a massive, huge plot point. It's kind of referenced, it's kind of there, but it doesn't take away from the story overall. And to be honest, I think the show, it had me tearing up a couple of times, or close to the tears. It's good, it's still doing its comedy and then having an emotional moment. It still can pull those emotional key moments when they need to, and I think the original show was always good at that. Like, JD will be joking around, but then he'll be having a heart-to-heart with a patient, or seeing Dr. Cox struggling, or like, obviously that's quite an iconic scene. I've not actually watched that episode, I just know and have seen that scene, so you can kind of, it's still good at hitting all them notes. It's just set 15 years after, I think. Oh God, feeling old. So I think it's definitely, if you enjoyed the original show, I think it's definitely a watch. If you're a hardcore fan of the original show, please let me know down below if you think this stays true to it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the watch of this series, and it has made me go back to the very first episode to start again, essentially, and watch it from beginning. And I don't think there's too much general changes. It does have a bad case of slightly Netflix lighting, but I think that's just a commentary of most TV shows these days, or definitely sitcoms. The set design is really good. They have replicated the original hospital really well. I just think because it's a replicated set, it doesn't have the same lighting aesthetic that the original did, especially since I'm watching like the first 2 or 3 episodes. 2 very different looking shows, but 2 shows that definitely do have the same theme and comedy beats to it, so there's not too much different. I also really like they do play the theme song. This was a criticism of mine for the Malcolm in the Middle reboot. They don't really ever play the original song. They do basically the exact same intro. And I probably a couple of years ago would have criticised it for that and said, oh, it should do its own thing. And do you know what now? I like it. It tells you exactly what it's trying to be, and it's trying to be Scrubs. So I think I enjoyed the intro. I enjoyed its 9 episodes. Oh, Milo clearly enjoyed it too. You just got my joggers mudder. The overall takeaways I'd say is it's definitely a good watch. I would rewatch it. So when I get to the end of, I say season 8, I'm very aware season 9 is not deemed very good in the Scrubs fan base, mainly because I feel like it's probably doing a lot of what this reboot isn't doing, literally, which is not focusing on the main characters. This one does. If that made sense, I don't know if it did. It's definitely worth a watch, and after I've watched the original series, I would go into this again and rewatch it. I'm kind of hoping it does get renewed for season 2. I think it's definitely, in my opinion, back to form of what the Scrubs felt like, with a little bit of a modern, updated twist and updated storylines for our characters, because they are older, but I'm glad to see him back. I'm glad to see their whimsicalness. And do you know what? JD has made me laugh out loud several times. Like, it's very rare these days that a show would have me actually giggling. But yeah, so let me know what you guys thought down below. If you enjoyed the original show, did this live up to that? And what would you change, or did you like essentially in this reboot? But yeah, if you could also give the video a like, subscribe. I'm trying to climb to 100 subscribers, so any support is much appreciated. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!